Welcome, Life Sciences, to another exciting life science lesson. What do we have on the cards today? Well, today we're going to start a new section called gas exchange. Now, it fits into the parts that have come before it, and I'm going to show you, give you a bit of idea of how it's come in, but we're basically looking at how are we going to bring in oxygen and bring out carbon dioxide. And that's the whole process that we're going to look at in the next couple of lessons. Okay, so very often when I use the word gas exchange, and I've put it on the board in brackets here, we often use the term breathe. Right? And now I'm going to show you it's not technically correct, but when we use the word gaseous exchange, it actually, we say it as we're breathing. How do I bring in oxygen? How do I take carbon dioxide out? So when we look at it today, we're going to see that maybe it's not technically correct, but that's really not a problem. That's actually what we're looking at. We're going to look at this whole process of how we breathe, and why we need to breathe. In this lesson today, we're going to look at a few concepts. We're going to start off with, this whole concept of what is gas exchange, what is breathing, what is cellular respiration, because very often we get those three terms mixed up, and they all actually mean totally different things. Then we're going to look at this whole concept of I need to breathe. Oxygen is quite important. So how am I able to breathe efficiently? What should my gas exchange surface, what should it be built like so in order that it can function properly? So we've got to keep that in the back of the mind as we're going on the sections beforehand. Then what we're also going to look at is we're going to have a look at how other organisms have to breathe. We're going to look at how plants breathe, right? We're going to look how fish breathe. We're going to look how the earthworm breathes. And I do this because I say to you, that's the term we're familiar with, but at the end of this, we're going to have to replace it with a new term that is obviously for life science far more correct. Okay, again, as I said, there's going to be quite a few new terms that are going to pop up. Listen carefully. How do I use them? Right? And if you miss it, always make sure you go back. Terminology is really important for you to be able to understand the different concepts. If you're a little bit confused, remember, go to your textbook, go to any kind of notes that you might have available, highlight them, make a note of them, and make sure that you're able to put them into the right context. Okay, so now we're going to start. Now I'm going to start off with something that you might be familiar with. Now when we come to gas exchange, you need to understand one very important concept, and that is that all organisms need energy. Okay, so one of the things, all living things, somehow or other, need energy. But if we're looking at this concept, let's think about how we need energy. So why do I have photosynthesis on the board here? Because very simply, where does energy come from for us? The energy comes from the plants that photosynthesize. And they are able to take the energy from light, okay, and they trap it into what we call organic compounds. So during photosynthesis, when you guys did the one concept of photosynthesis, it's almost like we're doing a bit of a mini-series. We started off with photosynthesis because plants, they were able to trap this energy. I often say they make it, right? So they're the ones that are going to make it. And what they do is, when we saw over here, what they actually did here, they make glucose. So plants make glucose and they store it as starch, which is a carbohydrate. And plants can change this carbohydrate to lipids or proteins. What do I mean by that? Maybe, for example, if you want an avocado pear, that might be a plant that has a lot of fats in it. Or, for example, you might want to eat beans, right? What does beans do? They've converted the carbohydrates to proteins. So all of these, especially the starch and especially the lipids, what are they? They are this trapped energy, and all organisms need that. Then we looked at the whole process of digestion. Now, how does it relate? Energy was in the food that we eat. So first the plants made it, then we're going to eat it. And when we look at our digestive system, what happens at the end of the digestive system? The food that we eat gets broken down into a usable part. Now, I'm just going to obviously concentrate here on glucose. So the plants made it, we ate it, and the reason why we had to have this whole digestive process is because it's not in the form that my body can use. So at the end of digestion, right, what do I have? Any kind of carbohydrate that I had, it's going to be in this form. What is it? It is still trapped energy. Okay, so that's important that we understand the story. Then we looked at, right, when we look at it, I say we have to use it. So the plants made it, we ate it, and during cellular respiration, what did we use? We took the glucose and we put it into, all right, where did that glucose go? It goes to our cells, and we have this organelle called the mitochondrion. And what does the mitochondrion do? It untraps. Here we go. Look at the word here, energy. It untraps energy and it releases ATP. Now, if we have a look at, as I said, it's like a mini series. Chapter 1, plants make it. Chapter 2, we eat it. Chapter 3, we use it. Now, what is cellular respiration? It's not breathing, all right, and it's not gaseous exchange. Cellular respiration is when I take the glucose and I untrap the energy. Okay, now where does the linkage come in for this program today? Here it comes. I always say cellular respiration has terms and conditions. And what do I mean by that? Very simply, for me to make this ATP, I have to have oxygen. I have to have oxygen, okay? So what is it? So what is gaseous exchange and breathing? I need to have this oxygen in. Now let's have a look at the last part of my little formula over here. I make carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is not good for my body, and I have to get rid of it. Which then leads me to this concept, gas exchange. First of all, it's the diffusion. And what do we know about diffusion? Very important. It's when things move, all right, from a high concentration to a low concentration. And what is going to happen during gaseous exchange is quite simply, I'm going to exchange oxygen. Oxygen is going to come into my body, and carbon dioxide is going to go out. I exchange. I want oxygen in, I want carbon dioxide out. Okay, so have a look there. This is picture exactly, okay? I want carbon dioxide out, I want oxygen in, and I'm going to go through a cell, a kind of surface. Now, when we talk about breathing, and I say this is the word we use all the time, breathing is the physical process. Me breathing in, breathing out. It's when my muscles do the work. So when I talk about gas exchange actually is the whole process of breathing in, gases exchanging, going to the cells for cellular respiration, exchanging gases again, exchanging gases in the lungs, and then breathing out. So it's this whole process that we are going to look at. Now, when I look at the process of gaseous exchange, there are things that I need to bear in mind. Remember what I said? How I'm going to make it a really, really good gaseous exchange system. Now, if you have a look at this, I don't know if you can remember, this is called squamous epithelium. Now, squamous epithelium is thin and it's moist. And when it's thin and moist, all right, and it's also very smooth. And this is going to be very important when I need to be able to bring oxygen in and out. Okay, so these are the requirements each time. Number one, I need to have a large surface area. What do I mean by that? Guys, making these bubbles means that there is more of a surface area than one single bubble. Now, when we look at the structure of the lungs, we're going to see where this is going to occur. So we've got to keep this in mind all the time. Number two, it must be thin and permeable. One layer in the lungs, one layer in the blood vessel. Look here. One layer. We're going to keep this in mind because we're going to come back when we look particularly at the lungs. Number three must be moist. Guys, ever gone to a window and breathed out onto a window? It's nice and it's moist. Right? The reason why is lots of water. Right? Like water vapor in your lungs. Because what's going to happen? Oxygen must dissolve into the water to form a solution, and then it pops into the blood. And what is the blood? Water. Okay, why do I need oxygen and carbon dioxide? I need it to do stuff. And how do I get it around the body? I need blood. All right, it doesn't help if I breathe in the oxygen and it's got absolutely nowhere to go. Right, so I need to get it to the cells and I need to get it back out again. This whole concept of in and out. Okay, well ventilated. What does that mean? It means in, oxygen, out, carbon dioxide. So I must be able to get oxygen in and I must be able to get carbon dioxide out. Okay, and one of the requirements, and it's not always necessary, but for us it's going to be, is that we need to have, our lungs are quite important. Actually, they're really important. So we need to have them well protected. This is not necessarily a function in all the organisms that we're going to look at, but we're going to see there for us, ribs, well protected is going to be definitely part of what we're going to need. Okay, guys, I'm afraid we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.